So if you can hear me, you can say yes. Okay, I see Carly. Carly is shaking her head. Now, is the sound quality okay? Because I'm going to use this microphone. Sounds good. We keep rolling with this microphone. Perfect. And I think we're just going to wait just a little bit for our friends to come in. We have a lot to talk about today, and I'm super excited about this topic. Not that anxiety is anything we want, but it's just something that we probably all feel. Whether you are, in a good shape right now, either with the school, your graduation date, any of those, or if you have a lot to deal with right now, there's something we can do. That's the beauty of our brain. We are so capable of really just giving it anything we want to, and we're going to just look into real techniques that we can use today. I'm not here to talk about like fluff. That's not my thing. If you have StudentRDH, you probably already know that I'm not into fluff. We're going to dive right into something practical for you. That said, I would love to see if we are waiting for more friends here. If you're like, oh, I have a friend who wanted to join, please wait, Claire. I am here. Please let me know. Okay, and then lastly, I just wanted to see if there was anybody who wanted to come up on the microphone, introduce themselves. We are a small group, therefore, I believe that it's important for us to share everything that we have today. If you prefer just to be an observer, that is completely fine. And I just want to invite anybody who actually want to talk as well to come here to share your story, why you are anxious, why you are here today. So any volunteer here? I do conduct many of those sessions in a webinar format, more on a personal level, at the school level, many different places. And it's always interesting to also see that, everybody's different. It's not like one person has one type of anxiety that fits everybody. Therefore, it is important for us to recognize that there are just many forms of anxiety. So that said, if you are ready, can you just give me the thumbs up? You can turn on your camera. You can also put it on the chat, and you can just say, Claire, we're ready. We have some friends here. I'm going to do a quick shout out to everybody we have here today. We have Carly, I see. We have Vanessa, Lynn, Kelsey, Brittany, Austin, Brooke, Ellen, Angelina, Nancy, Denise, Viviana, Jasmine, and they probably are a few more that I haven't mentioned, and I know our students will also see the recording of this. So if you are listening to this in your recording, please know that we will try to do a good job, trying to keep that in mind. But if you are here today, your questions will go on the chat. Now let's just do this while I'm getting this ready to share. Where are you all from? I just want to know where you're from and when are you graduating? Those two basic questions also give me a little bit of window of what's going on in your life. So please put that on the chat. Give me one moment. I'll come back in a second. Perfect. Let's see what we have. Let me see. Did anybody share where you're from and where you're graduating? Okay, here it is. We have Cedar City, Utah in May. We have Connecticut in May. Maryland already graduated. Kelsey, congratulations. Does that mean you still need to take the boards? We have Chicago, graduate in November. Okay, Brittany, graduate as well from Connecticut. Okay, Brooke. Arizona, graduating May, perfect. Jasmine, Ontario, that is awesome too, that's Canada. Oh, your virtual graduation last week, awesome. Denise, who's in New York, graduating in May. Viviana, South Carolina, graduating in May. We have Angelina, South Carolina, in spring. Okay, May 2021, Nancy. So it seems like a lot of you are graduating next year, and some of you have graduated already and will have to take the board examination. So that said, I would love to ask you this. which is, I'm gonna right here now start sharing some of my screen. As you can see over here. Actually, do you see my screen correctly? Maybe you do not see it properly. Let me do it again because I have two screens here at my desk. I think it's desktop 2. Okay, here we go. So now you see it. We're gonna dive into this anxiety management. Big topic. I feel like nobody has the perfect answer for that. You know, I don't know if you have watched Dr. Phil or things like that. They always talk about it. Okay, so this is my first question to all of you. How are you feeling? Like, is there something that you would like to share that is going on in your life that is giving you a little bit of a headache? You don't have to feel super anxious, but is there a reason why you feel a little bit more negative, you know, right now or recently than before? Is there a reason for that? So you can put it here on the chat. And so those are some of the things I hear from our students more often. Some is, well, I'm not ready for my finals. Some of you probably are taking the finals right now. And we also have some students who think they're going to fail. Obviously, some people feel like the short format is more difficult, which is really, really true. Okay. Have you ever heard of that? The short format is more difficult. Therefore, you might have to, you know, work a little harder because the failure rate is pretty terrible. Right? Stress about the boards, right? Just in general. Also, if you're still at school, well, it could also be related to, well, I really am not sure if I can even get through school, right? There's patients, there's faculties, there's just so many things. And then some of you might feel like, you know, you don't really get the attention that you would love to, or some of the other things that were beneficial to you if you were going to school. So I wanted just to mention that, you know, all of those are completely normal. And a lot of students have expressed to me those concerns on a daily basis, literally. If I have responded to you already via email, I read those emails and being able to understand what you're going through. And Jasmine, you're saying you don't have enough time because you're taking your boards next week. Thank you for sharing. And we have Kelsey. Thank you so much for sharing it. That's not easy to say that you have failed the board once. And Kelsey, can I ask if you have taken the short format examination? Because if that's the case, I can definitely tell you that it is, the failure rate, you know, it's really high. You are not alone. And Brittany is saying stress about the short format because you also failed previously. Again, thank you so much for being honest with us. The more sharing we do, the better it is for everybody. And you know, there's a big mystery about why is the short format examination more difficult than the long form or the regular form examination. It's hard to have a why per se, but it is important to understand that you just have less opportunity. In a way, if you think about it, if you were scaling 5 teeth, and now you had only the opportunity to scale, you know, 2 of them, how would that be? It would be a little more difficult, right, to be successful in those, just in case you were not doing the best job here with the 2 teeth that you had. So, you know, that's kind of one of the reasons we think the short format examination is harder than the long format examination. Okay, so, you know, here we're about to talk some of techniques that you can use. Again, we're not here for fluff. We're only here to really understand, okay, what's in it for me? What can I do to be more effective? So let's try to do that. And also I'm going to share, do you see me on the other screen right now? So I have my face in 2 different screens. Carly, thank you. I love your response because it's like, yeah, I do. I'll tell you why. It's because, okay, everybody see I have my iPad with me as I'm going to speak because I'm going to draw some things on my iPad. So that's why I have 2 of those with me. And I might look a little funny. However, well, the goal is just to make sure that you are all supported today. So I'm going to try to do the best job with trying to provide information through this iPad as well. So I'm going to stop my video over here. Otherwise, do you still hear me okay? Okay, wonderful. All right. So here we have, let's continue. Why did I start talking about things like that? Why am I even able to talk about things like that? Is because actually I've done a lot of research, not just by being a memory champion, that's one thing, but you know, the practice of it involves learning a lot about what's going on in here. So if you can imagine, I really dived into how can I be more motivated? How can I be better at my game? And for about 20 years, I've been actually teaching this topic. It's just not completely new to me here at StudentRDH. That's why from the creation of StudentRDH, I really just wanted to bring some of the topics of, well, how you can use your brain. So that said, there's just a lot that we can learn with each other by sharing how the brain works. So quick recap of 2020, you've been a pretty mess. Anybody here feel that way? That has actually been a real mess here in 2020. So, you know, what I'm just trying to see here over here is, you know, it's been extremely unpredictable, right? That's why we are even more anxious than normal. We don't have clarity yet on the mannequin versus the patient exam. We have a lot of requirements to finish, and the school sometimes, you know, have less time for us. That said, hey, there's still things that we can do. So let's look at the map of the brain. Anybody seen this brain actually? Which is actually, I'm sorry, my slides are dancing today. Okay, so what I'm showing you here are 3 types of brain. Now, this might look really scientific to you, and the purpose is not to scare you or anything. It's really for us to understand the concept of, well, why do we even feel anxious by diving into neuroscience? Not just fluff, but really the science of it. So here at the very basic level, this is the 200,000-year-old brain, and this thing is called the reptilian brain. It's made of the brain stem here. That is the very core function, which is the hypothalamus. If you remember from your board's review, the hypothalamus is like the regulator, like the thermostat, okay? It also includes what is called the amygdala, which is actually the alarm center. Oh, yes, you're supposed to see your slides. Is there a problem with that? Oh, okay, let's do it again. Sorry, guys. Somehow we lost it then. Perfect. I am sharing this again now. We're good now? I see all your beautiful faces, so I know we are on again. Okay, perfect. So let's go back here. Now you see the slide. This will make a little bit more sense to you. So again, neuroscience for you, because you know it's not enough to say, okay, you're anxious because of that. No. Let's dive into why our brain is wired to actually feel anxious. So the reptilian brain, which is the red part, as you can see, is what has been living with us for 200,000 years ago. What is happening in this reptilian brain? This one. This one is controlling, well, it's like a thermostat. And also what's going on is, has this part that is called the amygdala. Amygdala is literally like the alarm center. It's like the fire alarm in your building. Have anybody went through a fire alarm in your school or any other places, right? It happens when things get triggered. You know, there's a danger, there's a perceived danger. This one needs to function properly. So actually, if you feel anxious, if you feel like this alarm is ringing all the time, good sign. That means you're healthy at least. Okay, that means you don't have any delay response in your body. That means, you know, your body is with you. And on a good note, you know that it means a sign of health for you. But that still doesn't help us, okay? So let's continue the story here with our brain structure. After this, you have this thing called the mammal brain, which is developed afterwards. Okay, so we started here, very, very small brain. We have a bigger brain and a bigger brain compared to our ancestors. And then we have this whole big brain that is the human brain. Now, one important feature to notice here is the prefrontal cortex. Prefrontal cortex is the area that is going to give you this, I would say, conscious thinking, like when you're studying or when you are looking at TV, Netflix, things like that, processing information, memorizing the number you want to dial in order to order some pizza. That is the prefrontal cortex. And this has not developed until like more recently, okay? So our base of our brain is made of this 200 million years reptilian brain. This is new. So the whole point here, the reason why I'm telling you all this story is you have to understand that this alarm system that gives you this like danger signal over here, the amygdala, is more ancient and more evolved in a way than the prefrontal cortex. So that it's normal that when you have a feeling, it goes straight to the amygdala first and then your prefrontal cortex. So that's why it hurts us first emotionally. And then it goes into our scientific brain that's saying, wait, calm down. There's no danger over here. Okay, that's when sometimes, I mean, I'm very guilty of that. Sometimes I freak out. Sometimes I interpret it the wrong way. I take words the wrong way and it hurts me first. It gets into my heart, or this alarm system, which is all about the emotion. And then we can process this thing 5 seconds later. Because again, this is speed light. It gets right here because that's related to survival. That said, still, we need to find some, answers. So this is my own chart that I have drew about anxiety. Okay, so I'm not here to give you like quick 5 tips that you can do. I really am here for an hour to dive with you into what you can do to actually change that. So there are 4 quadrants. There are, just like we have 4 quadrants, okay? There are 4 things I believe that are related to anxiety. Let's look at those 4. So acronym for you. This is PENS. Is that an easy enough acronym for all of us? What is this? It's PENS, okay? Not just one, but we have PENS, okay? 4 of them. So let's look at them one by one, okay? Understand why anxiety triggers. There are 4 things, again, the PENS, and trying to just create a solution for each one of them, okay? So we're just gonna tackle them step by step so we do not get overwhelmed. That would totally be the purpose of today if I were just giving you a whole list of things to do and we didn't even really have time to find all the solutions to dive into this like a workshop together. So if you have a pen and paper, I usually like to have my sketchbook. It's not really a sketchbook, but it's for me, it's just where I just write things down like that. So if you have something like that, just bring it and we're gonna go through some of those things together. So let's start with the P. P is for preparation. It's a very simple question, right? Have you done your work or not? Some of you have taken the examination already and you have actually been able to see what was happening. You have been able to prepare for it already. So you can say, I was really prepared. Or you can think to yourself, if you write P, so if you can write a P in your notebook, if I had a notebook here, okay, it's a P. Are you prepared? Yes or no? Just do a quick check with yourself right now. And obviously there's a middle saying maybe I feel about 50% prepared. I feel like I know pathology, but the rest I really do not like studying. Whatever it is, let's ask ourselves, how prepared are you? Right? And I'm going to pause, here and there in order for us to understand and have the chance to write things down. So P is one of those 4 quadrants. And if you were not prepared, nothing else is going to matter, right? But you can also be prepared. And if the three other things are not working for you, then we still are not going to feel super comfortable. So let's just start with, again, the easiest question, which is, well, P, are you prepared? And what does that even mean to be 100% prepared for examination? Which brings a question, does that even exist, right? How can you be 100% sure of every single one of your items in the 17 textbooks that you had, right? So everybody thinks of preparedness a little different. For some of you, it might mean I finished the StudentRDH book, or some of you might think I want to reread every single textbook. Okay, for some of you it means I just want to do the mock exam. So anyways, once you have identified that, let's continue here. This is the bigger question. Now, the other reason why we feel anxious is because that thing you're trying to achieve has expectation. That means actually there's a risk attached to it. That means you can actually fail. The risk of being a failure, right? And anybody who is here who has taken the boards and did not do awesome this time, please, I hope I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm only saying this because I want all of us to realize there's a lot at stake. And that's why it builds up in our emotion. And it's just very brave of you to come here anyways. So think about that. What are the expectations here in this specific thing you want to achieve? You don't have to tell me it's about the boards, okay? I know that's my specialty, but you can just tell yourself, well, there's other things I want to achieve. And when you put pressure on yourself, that's when you are actually going to feel like you can be a disappointment to yourself, to someone. The disappointment can be even bigger because it's such a big task right now. There's a high price to pay, right? The risk is just so high. If there was nothing at stake, it was just a practice exam, you wouldn't feel the pressure because there's no price to pay after that. It's only because it's really important that your heart is beating faster, that your brain is in alarm mode because it knows how important this is for you. So I want you to just write down, how risky is this for you? So what are the things that are attached here? So for example, I could write, if I fail the national board examination, I have to wait 3 months to retake. You know what? That translates into, I'm gonna get my license later. I'm gonna make money slower. I'm not gonna be able to start thinking about my student loans or actually even making money until later. You know, we're here not just to talk about school, the board examination. We're here to talk about real life things that are happening to you. So feel free to just write things like that. Another example would be here, the risk. You know, if you do not finish your schoolwork on time, pass all your examination with the threshold that school has given you, well, the risk is delayed graduation. What does that mean? What is the price to pay of a delayed graduation? It could be many different things, right? Re-enrollment, the pain of having to tell your parents, right? There's so many things. So if you can come up with 1 or 2 things on your own of what it is what is the price you have to pay? What is the expectation of you? And what others or yourself might think of the situation. So even if it's one thing that you can write, that's a really big step of recognizing that there's an expectation to you. Great, great. Okay, any questions so far? If you have questions or comments, you can put it right here. And if you feel like, oh, actually, I can share this, I would like to share this with someone here of, you know, why I feel like there's a lot of risk here, why there's a high price to pay for me if I fail, please put it here. It's really helpful for anybody to being able to share. And one thing I would say about our StudentRDH community is everybody is so supportive. So if you're someone struggling with someone, there's always someone who's going to say positive things for you. Okay, so let's continue here. Now, the 4 quadrants, okay, we had PE, and then remember there's N and then S. So N is for new. It's because some things is new. Okay, new means this is the unknown. Let me give you an example. If you have not done the mock exam yet, what the NBDHE or the NDHE looks like on the computer might be like the unknown for you. Or if you do not have an exam date yet, that's an unknown for you. If you don't really know where your exam center is going to be, that is the unknown for you. Right? So try to think about anything that you do not know yet, that you do not have clarity on. It could even be, do I even know when my graduation is going to be next year? Can I even take the boards? Right, so please write 1 or 2 things down of what it means to have something new. I have students who are telling me that they are afraid of the examination because they just don't know what it's going to look like. So one of my first reaction is, please do the mock exam. There's same amount of time, same amount of questions, same question types. The format rules it very, very similar to the actual examination. Therefore, if you are going to take the mock examination, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable. Now, why do we have to think about this? Because new in our brain means danger. Like if there's something you think about back in the days, okay, I did not live back in the days, but if I just think about this whole concept of, if I had a new berry, okay, you were walking the street and you found this like new berry. It looks like a blueberry. But you know what? Back in the day, they could have been poison. Okay, they did not have grocery store when they could have safe food. Anything that was out there was tempting because survival was a problem. But also at the same time, if they see something new, they just don't know how to react. Do I eat this or not? Like, who's going to be the test? Right? If there's a new animal, we have no clue how dangerous that animal is. New means dangerous to us, right? So write down why the task you have, it could be graduation or the board examination, feels like dangerous to you. And also new means to wanting to procrastinate. Think about this berry. I do not know what this is. I'm not in a hurry to try this out. I want someone else to try before me. I want an animal to try before I do. So if there's something new, no wonder we just don't want to do it. We're going to push it off because in our mind, it's like not comfortable. We are just going to leave it until the end. So anything that is new, as much as it could be something exciting, unless it's like a new Netflix show, when it involves some work, our brain is just not completely on board with that. It wants a little break. So that's why we also procrastinate. So think about what this unknown is. And then lastly, think about, this is the big one here actually. S, P-E-N-S, S for stories. Stories about yourself, stories about your beliefs. So I coach a lot of students. I talk in a lot of schools, association, continuing education studies and things like that. And then here we have, you know, our conscious. Let me draw this out. Do you know this famous like picture of like conscious versus unconscious? This is like the tip of the iceberg, right? And this whole thing is like called the unconscious. So everything that we believe is actually about the subconscious. It is things that have been brought to us when we were a child. We don't even really know what happened, but we have stories that we tell ourselves. It could be something like, if I can relate it to the board examination, I've never been a great learner, for example. Those could be imprinted. So in the scientific world, they call it imprints in your brain because you had them when you were so young that they're just marked. Versus later, things that happen in life are not as scarred. So
think about some of the stories that you tell yourself around what you're trying to achieve right now. That could be the board examination. It could be, well, 2020 was really just like a deal breaker for me. I can't even handle 2020. That could be a story also that lives in their brain that is affecting everything else. So sometimes we have to dig deeper into not just what's happening right now, what's at stake, but stories that we are telling ourselves every day, this quiet voice that is actually whispering to you every day. So is there something that you can tell us or yourself, a story that you can think of that may have affected you, and it could have been affecting you for 20 years already? For me too, well, I have this story that I'm a great learner, but also I have many different stories that I'm trying to work with in my brain. For example, people tell me that I'm an extrovert, but I really feel like an introvert at the end of the day. What do you think you are? I'm curious. Are you an extrovert or are you an introvert? Like, I thought I was an introvert, but everything tells me that I'm extrovert. But I mean, inside, literally, I always want to just hide. Okay. So talking to you like this right now, talking about things that are not always comfortable, like tackling the challenge and talking about it, was not always what I aspired to do. So that's like a story that I tell myself that I'm like, I'm an introvert. Actually, I don't like things like that. But, at the end of the day, we have to rewrite the story. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So now you have identified. I'm going to recap quickly what we're going to do with those. So we have pens, okay? So we are going to use those in order to actually being able to rewrite the stories. Are you ready? So I have those 4 quadrants over here again. You have preparation, expectations, new, and stories. Now, when you think about preparation, it's very easy, right? You can write down that you're going to prepare yourself. But what about expectation? So I want you to rewrite your story. If you wrote something like, if I failed the examination, everybody's going to laugh at me. Okay, if you wrote something negative like that, I want you to change that story. So you're just literally going to cross it out or put an arrow and write a new story that works for you. Saying, actually, I can fail. I know it sounds terrible, but you know what? I know a lot of other people who actually failed and did fine the second time. All right, obviously, I'm not here to tell you it's okay, to not be successful, but at the end, it's okay. Things happen in life. It might even happen that you just had a bad day. That happens, right? Sometimes you're like awesome in clinic. Someday you're like, what happened to me? It's okay. This is just a big day. And people are not going to laugh at you. Literally, they are only going to be there to tell you that that is okay. So think about how you want to rewrite your story, how your failure can be something else. You know how the cheesy thing about failure is like learning. Okay, I know it's like something, you're like, I don't care right now, right? I just don't want to fail and I don't want to learn, but it's true actually. So, things like that can also work. And it might be something personal as well. You know what, if I fail, it's okay. It gives me a little bit of break because actually I do deserve a break. School has been tough on me. I didn't really want to jump right into work anyway. So, so you're making stories that are actually going to work for you, that makes you feel a little bit comfortable. So you do not feel like you have so much to deal with right now. It's a little bit of changing your own story on purpose, but it's important to recognize that. Okay, now let's tackle this quadrant, the new one. This is really important, okay? There's some things that I tell our students to do all the time. You want to get rid of the new factor, the unknown factor. So first of all, obviously, take the mock exam, which gives you a real visual of what the computerized exam looks like. Other things that I have here, visit the test center before the exam date. Anybody know exactly where they're going to take the test yet? I know we have some friends who already took the exam. If you know the address, please drive there. Drive it with the car you're going to drive on the day of the examination. Go there with the clothes that you're going to wear the day of the examination. Go see where the entrance is. Test out the elevator. Like, tell me how it smells. Like, notice everything that's going on. Is there enough sunlight? You know, where's the bathroom? You got to locate that ASAP. Do things like that. So the unknown becomes the known. It's not new anymore. Your brain is not processing this as danger anymore. It's friendly to you. What else? Visualize your success story. Basically, you're living the end of your success already in your head. So that also includes visiting the test center. So you picked out your clothes, okay? Don't try to be fancy, okay? We're gonna do the bare minimum, your sweatpants, the things that works best for you. And then you're gonna go to the exam center. You know exactly what it looks like. So now in your head, until the examination, you're gonna tell yourself a story that looks like this. I wake up at 7, maybe a little earlier than that. I eat this. You're always gonna eat the same thing, okay? Don't try to switch up your breakfast that day. We skip, we stay with the same story that we're going to create in our head. So I eat oatmeal. That's what I eat every single meal. Other than this morning I didn't have time, so I bought myself a smoothie. But I eat this. I'm going to drive there. It's going to take me 20 minutes. I'm going to park my car here. You already have a spot designated. I'm going to use the bathroom beforehand. I'm going to get in the door. I'm going to take 5 breaths and I'm going to start my examination. And you just continue the story. If you have seen the test center, you can even give a little bit of more storyline, such as I'm going to go eat my lunch here, you know, things like that. So your brain is comfortable. That's what we're trying to do over here. So can you work with this, being able to tell yourself or get yourself some elements? It's like, you know, when we have children and they suddenly go to school, like they scream and kick and they cry because this is the unknown. They're not comfortable. So what do we give them? We give them like the toy they like. You know, we give the mommies like sweaters, so they feel like there's someone with them, right? That mommy's with them. So that's the thing. The brain works something comforting. So create that comfort story to yourself already. Lastly, some stories. And this might not just come up right now. You might actually have to sit somewhere for a second. You might have to just lock yourself. Okay, this is my trick. I go in the bathroom because darkness is awesome for me. It works for me to think. I sit in the bathroom, like not on toilet, but like on the floor. I could sit there for like an hour solid and meditate and think about my stories and things like that. I actually even get pillows. I get inside the bathtub. I don't even have water in the bathtub. I sit inside the bathtub for a long time with my pillows. And then I come out with like ideas and like rewritten stories of my own. So you don't have to tell me that you tried that, but if you want to try, go ahead. It works really well. So rewrite your own stories because there's some things that are not on the surface, that are not there that you want to share yet, that you are working with. And try to recreate those stories, such as, I wasn't really a good learner ever. I was a slow learner. You know what? Rewrite that story to be like, maybe there was something actually that I did really good at school. There's always something to believe in. Do that, okay? But if I had just to pick, some of the things you could do would be drive to the test center and visualize your success story. And one more thing here is to create a morning routine. Why do I love morning routine? Like I literally love morning routine. There's 5 things that you should do every morning. I'm not going to tell you what those 5 things are because that needs to work for you. Okay? Is that drink coffee? You know, my routine is water, always sitting next to my bed, meditation, put on my makeup, okay? I'm not going to, 10 minutes, I'm not taking a whole lot of time, but you know, that's good for me. I eat the same breakfast every day, which is the oatmeal, exception today. And then being able just to like sit and write for like 5 minutes. That's like my morning routine. If I do that every day, I feel like I'm totally on track. I feel like my day is going to be great. So find something so that you don't wake up with like unpredictable things. It's like I took control already of my day. That's what a morning routine is. So what are the things that you think you can do in the morning? And by having things like that, that's when we reduce our anxiety. Okay, we can always talk about, so I'm going to write in January an article or February about anxiety for our students and new grads. And I'm going to write it with RDH magazine. And I've done a lot of research of like, you know, what other people are talking about when they talk about anxiety. And it's a lot of take deep breath, like know that you can. But what I wanted to do is really get underneath that, saying, let's dive into some of the things that are making us anxious and how can we flip that story? Because just breathing itself is just one trick. It's not really going to change things at the foundational level. But morning routine can help you be awesomely successful when you start working, especially as a hygienist. Oh my God, the day is going to be insane. You're going to what, 500 miles an hour every single day, right? So in order to take control of that right away from the beginning, there are 5 things that you can do. Anybody want to share what they must do in the morning or one of the things you think you need to do in order to start your day right? For me, it's water. I drink more tea than coffee now. Okay, so it could be reading the news, for example. I enjoy doing that too. So now we have found some of the things. I want you to quickly look at this. This is a video that I recorded for breathing. So, you know, everybody tells you like, go to the 10 center and like take 5 breaths and like meditate, you know, things like that. Although I'm a big meditator, I do not like people telling you like, just do this. I want you to have a visual. So when you close your eyes every single time, every single examination, every difficult day or moment you're having, imagine this. Are you ready? Okay, just so you can stare at the screen and we are going to do this together. There might be some audio, okay, but the principle is very, very simple. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna pause it here. We did it about 5 times. And do you feel just a little bit better by following this pattern, this visual that you have about breathing in and out? So, you know, every time someone tells you like, take a deep breath, if you can have this image in your head of this balloon expanding and then getting smaller, that's gonna help you because we are all visual learners at the end of the day. Okay, so now let's quickly talk about what does it mean to have deep breath? Like why do I even need that, right? why everybody talks about that. So let's talk a little bit more about the scientific level of breathing. Is obviously we need that. Beside that, rapid breathing, so like, short breathing triggers what? Your alarm system. Remember the amygdala that tells you like there's a problem right here? So once you have short breathing, you trigger the alarm system, and vice versa. If you have alarm system going on in your head when in danger, you're not breathing calmly. You're just going 100 miles an hour because that's survival mode. Probably no fight or flight, right? That's exactly what's happening. But if you are slow, it tells your brain everything is comfortable. I'm at good temperature mode right now in my own body, at a good pace. And when you're comfortable, also you're gonna breathe slowly. So it actually works hand in hand. It's like the hamster, no, it's the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? It's hard to tell. But when you do not feel comfortable, that's why one thing you can do, you can take control again of your pace, is by slowing down your breathing. I'm not even gonna ask you to meditate. I'm not even gonna ask you to take deep breath. I'm just gonna ask you to slow it down on purpose. Okay, so imagine like your airway hole gets even tighter, so you breathe in very, very, very slowly. You can only exhale out very slowly. The moment you start doing that, slow breathing becomes slow heart rate, and a slow heart rate gets back to your brain. This is the brain, by the way. And then it gives out chemicals that's gonna signal, okay, we're good over here. So at any moment you feel like there's an alarm, so be, try to pay attention to, do I have an alarm going off right now in my brain? And I wanna this is almost the end. What happens is that when we are training ourselves with the things that I explained, the P, E, and S, obviously we have to prepare, but when we can think ourselves to take the pressure off, because life is gonna be okay, and then N, that for you can understand how to make the unknown known. And then also at the end of the day, you are able to tell your stories that work for yourself. When you work things like that, you're gonna be able to connect the neurons in your brain, because you know what? We have 100 million of them. Like, oh no, sorry, 100 billion with the B. 100 billion neurons. And you are starting to connecting those that are gonna make sense to you for a success story. Your success story gonna form in your brain that your anxiety is gonna go down. That's when we have, like, let's say this branch and that branch, they are not connected yet. You have not connected your success stories. You have not changed your belief. There's a huge gap and you're not getting here. Or worse, you have the neurons that are connecting into the wrong story. The story of, I've never been good at school, and what you actually want to do in life. If those are connected, it's not going to work, right? That's why we have to rework our stories that are really in our unconscious, subconscious level. So there are many things that we can do. The PENS system is something that really gives us a framework. So it's not just 5 quick tips. It's like, think about the PENS every time you feel like you're not getting where you want to. Think about, what can I change right here? There's always something. And then know that your brain is ready to be connected, wired in a way that you want to. Okay, we are born with an amazing brain, and those connections form with our experience and with our will. So if you want to sometimes detach those things, it might be a little hard to break up, but by rewriting the stories, you're breaking up the bad stories and you're going to form in good stories and reducing your anxiety at the same time. And we also learn about why breathing actually works. So that would be really my last words for you. Is like, do you feel just a little bit better by knowing a few things today? And if you have something to share today, I learned this or that, or what about this, please put it on the chat. I know it has been a quick 1-hour session. And I'm not here to pretend to know everything about the brain, but we coach thousands of students at StudentRDH every year. About 4,000 students already this year have taken StudentRDH. And I'm listening to your stories all the time. So I think I know what you're going through, being able to help in many ways. And this year has especially been tough for us, as we have some friends over here who can testify with the short format examination. We do not have yet the option of taking the long examination. So some students are waiting to see what happens, but there's no clarity yet. So if you are with StudentRDH though, in January, you'll have an update from us because we keep track of everything. And we'll be able to tell you, give you a little bit more clarity on that, because as you have seen, the new is not really comfortable for us. I'm doing everything to make the unknown known for you. So I hope we learned, even it's just one thing that you can take away from this, you know, I would be very happy. I'm very grateful for all of you who have been here today. So, you know, that said, I think it's been almost an hour together. If you have questions, please feel free to put it here on the chat. I would love to be able to answer all of those and being able to just make sure that if I haven't addressed it today, I will address it again next time after doing more research. That's what I'm here for. Giselle, thank you. You took the HESI exit exam, amazing. Wait, that's by the school, right? And you feel like you weren't comfortable in the answers, but ended up doing really well. Thank you, Giselle. Okay, let's answer that for a quick second. Okay, Giselle, if you're the one who I talked to many times before, thank you for coming back. Here, it's completely normal to feel like, okay, I haven't really done great. And let me tell you why that is actually. Is number one is because any examination is not supposed to be like, oh, I know everything. Like the threshold is high. So any exam you're taking, whether it's the NBDHE or the HESI, is going to be, well, it was definitely challenging. They're not here to give you like pass grades, like, you know, like candies. That's not their job. So it's totally normal to do that. Also, one of the reasons why it feels actually more difficult than not that normal, but it can feel difficult, is because, you know, the board examination or the HESI examination, a lot of them is about the best answers. Sometimes there are a lot of answers that actually make sense. It's like, what A and B, I don't know. Like someone's trying to trick me here. Or like, this makes sense, this makes sense. Oh my God, which one is better? So a lot of questions, if you read the NBDHE guideline, is made that way. It's not about the one and only answer to it that's like completely standing out to you. So I ask our students to always think about what is the best answer. Because for example, you're choosing between like, do I wear black shoes or do I wear red today? Like all those are good options, you know, but which one is better? So our brain is really thinking so hard that it feels like, oh my God, I do not know anything. It goes into alarm mode saying, oh my God, they're trying to fail me. I'm about to fail right now. This question was so hard, and it was. But because you had this mentality of, I'm going to choose the best answer, you were ready for that. So that's another example that I feel like students kind of feel a little bit negative sometimes, like, oh my God, I feel like, you know, I was going to fail during the examination and everything looked really hard, and it's supposed to be that way, right? So, you know, in my mind, those are the two things. And also, well, and if I know you a little bit, Giselle, is, you know, I know you have very high standard, right? Everybody here probably have very high standard for yourself. So if you have 1 out of 10 thing that does not make sense, or you're like, we just magnify that. We're like, oh my God, I didn't do a good job, right? Instead of the 9 things that you have done really, really well. And our brain is trained that way. That's why we have to actively write gratitude, like, because being thankful or being positive is not normal for our brain. If you go back to the history of the brain, it's always been about, well, be alarmed. Like someone's trying to kill you every single day. That could be an animal, that could be your enemy. Like 100 million years ago, there was always someone coming after you. So our brain is not supposed to think, oh, life is great. At that point, if you're like, life is great, going to jungle, you're going to die in 2 seconds. That's why we think negatively. So that's why thinking positively is so difficult for us. It's not like in us. So same thing, when you are looking at your question, what you have done, you can think, oh my God, magnify on like, this is wrong, versus the things that you have done. So those are some of the feelings, right? But actually when you sit down, like we're doing right now, and analyzing it, everything was actually pretty okay. So thank you so much, Giselle, for sharing that. And did you get a score actually from the HESI, or did you get just a pass or fail? You actually got a score. Awesome. Do you mind sharing with us what it is? And if you don't feel comfortable, no problem at all. Not every single school. Thank you. 928. Okay. So yeah, not every school. Anybody else have the HESI exit exam here? No. Okay. So it is made by Elsevier, and it's just like I guess a mock exam, right? Is that correct, Giselle? If I can describe it, for you to understand kind of how you are performing. Sometimes schools use that to see if they want to graduate you or not, or if they say, okay, you're ready to sign up for the national boards or not. So if you do not know about it, don't worry about that. But the same principle of how you're learning, why you feel like it's so much more difficult than you thought, or it actually is because of those psychological reasons. Thank you so much for sharing that, Giselle. And that said, we're going to wrap this up. And you know what? Feel free to continue with our next presentation that I'm going to do right away. That is about, well, how can you spend your time studying better during your winter break? So we're going to go over some study techniques. And Giselle, I know you asked that, and I didn't have a presentation then, but I have it now. So I'll be able to share some of those with you, specifically with our dental hygiene exam. What would be some of the studying techniques that nobody has told you? And I'm here to continuing answering your questions. So if we have not had time to chat right here, you can send me an email. Otherwise, I'm going to see you in 3 minutes in the other webinar. Does that sound good to you? Thank you, everybody, for being here, being willing to work out your anxiety with me. And I really wish you all the best, okay? Especially for those of you who have been to the examination already. You are brave souls. And I know it's like you have it in you. I know you have it in you to do well. Okay, do not beat yourself up, please. This year has been just, you know, I can't find a better word than like whatever for everybody. For myself too, had to really like, you know, be creative at StudentRDH, saying how we're going to help our students. Like every day has been very unpredictable. And for you, I cannot even imagine going to school with that unpredictability. So please don't beat yourself up. There are more chances. It's going to be great. All right. Thank you, everybody. And well, maybe I'll see you soon then. Okay. Maybe see you on the other webinar. All right. Bye. Get up.